Here's why you should give pro wrestling a chance. Don't scroll away. Hear me out. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, but wrestling's scripted. Yeah, so is every action movie you've ever seen. And just because it's scripted doesn't mean you know the outcome or the finish. In Infinity War, when Thor threw Stormbreaker at Thanos, everybody thought the good guys had won. They didn't. Or you might say wrestling is fake. When you're watching John Wick, you're not sitting there like, well, that's clearly Keanu Reeves fighting a stuntman. This is fake. Sure, what's going to be done in the match is scripted, but taking certain moves is still real. And just because something is scripted doesn't mean accidents don't happen or the risk of injury is any less dangerous. George Clooney is an actor. He got injured in a torture scene for the movie Syriana. It was a spinal injury. Pro wrestlers are just more athletic actors, but every match is a scene where they know they're risking their life or their bodily health. And I love that about pro wrestling because they have to make it look like they're trying to hurt each other while actually protecting each other at the same time. To me, wrestlers are masters of illusion. I gotta make it look like I am hurting and dying right now. Or I'm hurting and dying right now, but I still got 30 minutes of a match to fulfill. And the audience is just none the wiser. There's something to be respected in the art of protecting someone while trying not to hurt them. Or to wrestlers that don't like each other in real life, however, understanding, hey, we have to protect each other right now. And once you understand that, then you can see all the different things that wrestling is and all the different genres it incorporates. For example, wrestling is anime. When it comes to a fighting anime, everybody's got a special move or a finishing move. From Goku's Kamehameha wave to Naruto's Rasengan. When you see them bust that shit out, you know, oh, it's game over. Wrestling is the same way. Every wrestler has a signature move and a finishing move. Now, wrestlers don't really shout out the name of their moves during a match, but the commentator calling the match does. The commentator is the narrator, and they show how important and dire things are. When a special move gets hit, oh, the game has changed, baby. For example, when Shibata did his own version of Okada's finisher, the Rainmaker. Japanese commentators are the best because I don't know what they're saying, but because of the passion in their voice, I know what they're saying. And when they call out a move, they make sure you feel that shit. Wrestling is poetry. Certain wrestling moves are named that way because they're similes to represent something else. Think about it. We call it a clothesline because the person taking the move looks like they just ran into a clothesline. The pile driver move in wrestling looks like the construction equipment called a pile driver. Every wrestler's signature move and finishing move is named after an aspect of their character. For example, Bianca Belair, always blowing kisses, telling people to kiss her butt, and her finisher is named the KOD, the Kiss of Death. Wrestling is comic books. Comic book characters like Spider-Man or the X-Men always get new creative teams behind them to give them new adventures. It's the same thing in wrestling. Different characters have different creative teams behind them, which take them in different paths. And my favorite thing about wrestling is, just like in comic books, they can take something that happened years ago and make a new storyline out of it. In comics, it might be a small throwaway thing. The same thing could be said in wrestling. Maybe something someone said in a promo. Maybe something said to someone's father that was a wrestler. It doesn't matter. There's all these moments of a story that you can take and make a new story out of it. No other sport can do that. Sometimes it's a real life event that becomes a storyline. Bryan Danielson suffered mad concussions which kept him out of the ring for a number of years. And the way he wrestles is so fast and loose sometimes that when he takes a hit in the head, we don't know, like, oh man, is he okay? Or is he just really selling very well? We don't know, and that's the art of wrestling. I gotta make you think I'm more hurt than I really am. And sometimes years later you find out, oh no, I was really hurt then. But I had to keep going with the match. Wrestling is so good at blending real shit with scripted things that you don't know where the line ends or begins. Or take a look at Katsuyori Shibata. My man threw a shoot headbutt at Okada out of nowhere during their match. You see a little trickle of blood come down his face. That shit looked like cinematic beauty. My man goes into the back and collapses after the match. Had to get rushed to the hospital. He had a brain aneurysm because of the headbutt. Ain't no faking that shit. That shit was real, and it kept him out of the ring for a number of years. But then he was able to come back and wrestle again. Wrestling is also diverse. Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon, is the whole reason I even got back into wrestling. In 2014, the women's division in WWE was killing it more so than the men, especially in NXT. And seeing Athena come in, she's a cosplayer. She's big on anime, and seeing her get to wrestle and incorporate that into her character and into her matches was incredible. Seeing how progressive wrestling has become now as opposed to the way it was then, where a lot of stereotypes for the characters of wrestlers of color, especially black wrestlers. I love that wrestlers of color don't have to portray a stereotype now. They can just really be parts of their own personality instead on stage. And while wrestling can be so many things, it can be campy, dramatic, violent, goofy. At the heart of wrestling, it's always about storytelling. And what better story than that of an underdog? Everybody loves one. Wrestling represents a physical embodiment and display of the hero's journey, the protagonist trying to overcome the odds, trying to come out on top. Willow Nightingale is a perfect example of that. I remember watching her come into AEW and the L she was taking, but bit by bit, the crowd getting more behind her and more behind her, the wins starting to rack up, and more becoming more of her time as they're chanting her name, seeing her keep that smile, then seeing that violent side of her. All different aspects of an underdog coming into their own. Same could be said of Wheeler Yuta's journey to the Blackpool Combat Club. Wheeler just wanted to learn from the best in the game. His friends that brought him in felt it was a betrayal, but learning from the best doesn't mean betraying those that brought you into the game. It just means you're trying to grow as a person. And the story told here was of this man getting jumped in on some gang shit. I'll never forget the excitement of watching him go through all the members of the Blackpool Combat Club, having to face Mox last, and then Mox being surprised at just how much tenacity he has. Mox told him, hey, my job is to see what your guts are made of, so I gotta spill him on the floor. And then Moxley saw that and respected him afterwards. Throughout all these years, there have been so many different stories that wrestling has told. Now we're seeing people get to tell different stories that weren't being able to be told before. I'll never lose excitement for that. That's what always keeps me coming back to it. That's why I enjoy it so much.